Dojak and manager Kieran Patchell. Is that your bell?
Too many bells.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. We have an archaeologist available to come to your property next.
Just we're not muted in.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Hello. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the August 20th, 2024 regular council meeting for the Village of Lytton. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone to please turn off your videos, mute your microphones, and allow council to begin the proceedings. Just to let you know, we're all being recorded and broadcasted on the Village of Lytton YouTube channel. If anyone is looking for a video recording of this meeting or a past meeting, you can go to the Village YouTube channel and watch it there. Thank you, Your Worship. You may call the meeting to order.
Thank you. I call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. So I want to begin by recognizing that we're gathered this evening in the Village of Lytton, located in the heart of the Entacaption territory. This evening, we have all of council here in the hall, as well as we are joined by corporate officer Lisa Storoshenko. Brian is here and Jim is here at the table. Before we move to adopting the agenda, we do have one late item to add, and that is a public works update into new business. So can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as I'll move that. Councillor McCann, seconder. Councillor Lightfoot, all those in favor? Carried. Moving on to adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting that was held on July the 23rd. Read a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. A seconder, trust you. And were there any errors or omissions? Councillor Lightfoot.
Under motion 24-146, the mover and the seconder have not been written in on the motion.
Okay, you've got that then, corporate officer.
Yeah. All right, motion to as amended, or the minute was amended.
Can we call the question then as amended? Those in favor, carried. Now we move on to public comment. I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa.
Thank you, Your Worship. So members of the public are now invited to comment on matters related to the agenda. If you'd like to speak, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on reactions at the bottom of your screen and then clicking raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and you'll be asked to unmute yourself. You'll get a pop-up on your screen asking you to unmute. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. The speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, state your address, and the agenda item that you are speaking to. So if anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. I'll call for a second time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. I'll call for a third time. Anyone wishing to speak, please use the raise hand function now. And we don't seem to have anyone here at Parish Hall. So back to you, Your Worship.
Okay, so moving on to item number 8, staff reports. Chief Financial Officer Diane Lumbercat regarding the monthly reporting. Do you have anything to share?
Thanks. Thank you very much, Mayor O'Connor. Good evening, everybody. And this is our monthly report required under our recovery grant funding with the province of British Columbia. So this summarizes the expenditures for the month of July that relate to that recovery grant, $85,409. And so I'm just looking for approval to submit this this report to the province for the reimbursement of those July expenditures.
We have a recommended motion. Councillor Lightfoot, a seconder. Plus, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? See none. All those in favor? Carried. I'll move on to item number 8.4, recovery manager, and we have actually 8.4.1 retaining walls, and we have Daryl Exani on our call here. He's our municipal engineer, and I believe he's going to speak to this. Hi, Daryl, welcome.
Hello, I hope you can see me all right there.
Yes, we
Hello and
can.
good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Daryl Exani. I'm the village engineer, and on behalf of Recovery Director Manager Don Wong, I'm assisting him with a project to source some lock blocks to do some repairs around the village. As you're aware, during the village remediation, there was a number of retaining walls that were removed over the course of the work. And because of that, the village has to replace some of these retaining walls. So we've sourced a number of prices from around the interior for lock blocks. We required, the lowest price was from Coast Range Concrete from Cache Creek. And the proposal is to purchase 100 lock blocks. That's one full shipment. And what would happen is the lock blocks would be brought to site, and they would be made available to anyone, members of the public that may need them, and they would be sold at cost to them. Yeah, so is there any questions on that?
Does anyone have any questions regarding this? No, I think it's fairly, oh, sorry, Councillor.
I just want to make sure I understand this clearly. That the primary purpose of these blocks is to make sure that walls that are supporting walls that need to be put in place are put in place so that somebody can literally build their house where they couldn't otherwise. So there are some blocks that are going to go into be structural blocks, and then these other blocks that are left are for people if they want to use them for their own purposes. Is that correct? Like we have some that we need for work that we're doing in the.
Yes, actually both. There's a number of spots around the community where private retaining walls were taken out during the remediation. So we have to reinstate those areas. Some of them are smaller landscape walls, which are walls that are less than 1.2 meters in height or 4 feet. There's some larger walls as well. There is the opportunity to also use these for some other projects. For example, access to the public works yard. We have to build a retaining wall to the lot to get proper access, because right now we have to cross an existing lot, and so the plan is to put a retaining wall to get a suitable access to the public works building. And there's some other projects around the community as well that are going to require it. Some will be structural walls, which will be larger ones, which will have to be designed by an engineer. And again, smaller ones, less than 4 feet in height, that may be used, by local residents to build their own walls.
Just to make sure that we aren't in the business of selling blocks, we're in the business of offering blocks that are extra to people that need them.
Correct. Well, the plan would be that we would bring them to site, and so the cost of the blocks plus delivery, we would sell them for that without any markup. So then if somebody needs them, they can get them rather than, they would have to pay a much larger price if they had to get a smaller shipment from a supplier, because they wouldn't be able to, if they only needed 5 blocks, well, they would have to pay probably the same shipping that we would on a shipment of 100 blocks. So we're saving basically the shipping cost.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you. I was going to about that too. Buying them in bulk like that, the cost is less than buying smaller amounts, I would guess. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, we have a recommended motion here. It's actually yeah. So move. Thank you. And seconder. Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Daryl. Moving on to item 8.5, Director of Development, and we've got Corey on the call here today to give us the Development Services Activity Report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let's try that again.
There we go.
Okay. Awesome. So this evening's report is fairly straightforward. Sorry. Unfortunately, there were no new planning applications in the month of July. So I simply summarize the applications to date on the first slide. In July, 4 building permits were issued and 19 inspections were completed. And those 19 inspections were on 10 different properties. So we're making some progress as we go along here. And then, of course, just the overview of activities, running total of permits issued and approved. Of course, that's separate from the first column, which is inquiries or things in progress. So things are still percolating along here in the background, and we look forward to bringing more exciting statistics some other time, but that concludes my comments for this evening.
Thank you, Corey. So we have a motion to receive this report for information. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder. Councillor Toss, are there any questions or comments for Corey this evening? Councillor Toss?
Thank you, Corey. I was wondering if there's an update on the general store for the village. Is that one of these permits, or do we know where they're sitting right now?
I believe they're working through the process. At our development team meeting last week, I believe that we heard that they were continuing to put together the documents that they require.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other comments or questions? No, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move right down to item number 9, which is bylaws. Bylaws for readings, and the first one is the financial plan amendment bylaw. And CAO Mombercat. CFO Mombercat.
One of those roles. Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. This is a bylaw amendment to our 5-year financial plan. And last month, when we had the financial update to the end of June 30th, I spoke about a number of these items. And so now I'm just bringing them back in terms of amending the plan for the 2024 to 2028 plan, just looking at amending the 2024 year. So the financial plan was originally adopted back in May, and then it was amended once in June, and then this is a second amendment. So council can amend this plan as many times as they wish, and it's important to have, particularly on the expenditure side, things incorporated that we know about. So here's some of the things that have come up since the initial plan was done. So on the revenue side, as I spoke about in my June 30th financial update, we had budgeted for the $700,000 that is part of the municipal affairs operating funding that has been provided to the Village of Lytton as we continue with our recovery activities. This is a contribution to the operating budget. We had included it in the budget and then found out that based on the accounting rules, the accountants all included it all in 2023. So for this current year, we're going to show a shortfall in that amount. So we need to adjust that in the budget. We did receive provincial grants related to UBCM emergency management programs. Those weren't originally in the budget. We do have a reduction in the property tax revenue related to the write-off of some taxes that were approved by the municipal affairs for some properties that were destroyed. A couple of trailers that were destroyed or ruined in the fire. We also have been trending ahead on the interest on the bank accounts. So I'm suggesting an increase in the budget there of $150,000. On the expense side of things, there's a number of items here. And as everybody knows, as time goes by, we get new information and become more clear on other things. So we're taking an opportunity right now to make a number of those adjustments. And so We spoke at the last financial update that we have incurred additional public works salaries. We've got a casual labor position hired that is covering vacations and whatnot, but also just assisting in some of these additional projects that are required. We had the temporary fire hall improvements that were approved by council. The council pay, this is just an anomaly of the timing of the payments. And so somewhere along the way, we got out of sync with when having 4 payments recorded in a year. And so what we're trying to do is catch it up in 2024. So I just want to make the point that council's not receiving a raise. This is really just kind of trying to get our accounting entries aligned into the proper timing. We have a donation addition for $1,000. That was the Riverfest Festival donation that was approved. The Public Works equipment replacement of $116,900. This is essentially to try to replace the equipment that was lost in the fire. We are getting very close to the finalization of our insurance proceeds that will cover this equipment. And that will be amended at a later date, but the team really need to move forward and get some of this equipment in place so that they can do their work. We had the June 30th recognition event, and so most of the costs are in for that, including the tent and the entertainment and the different items that were produced for that event. So that was not originally in the budget. We have some provision here for some council to council events. So this is when we have an opportunity to meet with our kind of local communities and talk about shared priorities and whatnot. We generally have a meal or some other things at those events, not originally in the budget. The parish hall rent of $10,800 was missed in the original budget. The programs that relate to the UBCM grant revenue that I referred to above, the cost of them is shown here. It's just an in and an out for the exact same amount. And we had included in the budget $10,000 for TNRD building permits and building inspections, which we won't be using in 2024. We will be continuing with our own dedicated staff for that. So the total impact on the surplus for the year is a reduction of $886,000. Now, $700,000 of that is covered by the additional accumulated surplus that came forward from 2023. And so then the additional $186,000 would be an additional reduction. And I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. Okay, so let's put the motion forward that we give the first 3 readings for this amendment bylaw. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder. Councillor McCann. Now, are there any questions, comments for people? No. So thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Carried. All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for explaining that so well. Emergency program, item number 9.1.2. And we have Jim McDonald here this evening. Are you speaking to this? Yes.
Sure. So I had put forward a bylaw that would then support an emergency program development. So that's in your packages, as I understand. And this is to put a little bit of your backing behind the work that we're doing. So in addition to that, emergency program bylaw also supports the development of an emergency plan. So the emergency plan is still in the draft form. That being said, had we had an emergency this afternoon, we would have used that plan. So what this does, it puts your powers behind the plan that we're going to use. So I think fairly straightforward that you're going to go ahead and not accept the plan with some changes, perhaps when you finally do see it. but allow staff to make minor changes to the plan. So oftentimes the plan, there's a phone number that changes, or perhaps a supplier has got one bulldozer more or less. That shouldn't come to your
Right.
table, but more of those type of things where it might conflict with some other policies you might have in place. So that would be your part of keeping up with the plan. So the plan with those minor changes wouldn't come to your table, but major changes or changes that you'd actually have to think about adjusting policy or amending policy, that would come to you. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
does that make sense? I guess to be clear, in the event of a large scale emergency or disaster, you'd still be depending on your staff to do the work out in the field and be able to delegate your authority to them. So that'll be clearly announced in the plan, as it is in the bylaw. And I think it's fairly clear that your part in it is something that's mandated by law, by the Emergency Disaster Management Act, as it has now been named. And a big part of that is having a plan. So the province is asking that you have a plan. By the way, they're never going to come and look at it, but they want to know that we have a plan. So this is very much an in-house statement. And the plan is supposed to be made public. So the plan without phone numbers, addresses and that type of thing should be made available to the public. This can be done online. Copies perhaps available at the office.
All right, good. So let's put the motion forward. Thank you, and seconder. Councillor Lightfoot, are there any questions or?
A little question. Thank you. I was wondering about, the emergency program coordinator comes from recovery funding. What happens when that funding's gone? Will we lose our coordinator?
So yeah, and that's a financial burden that
The village will have to.
is on you. But oftentimes, communities of all sizes will just appoint a staff member who carries on this work on the corner of the desk, so to speak. There are actually very few full-time emergency coordinators in the province. For example, the city of Surrey does not have one.
Okay.
So even large cities don't have a full-time paid position for that only. So it's typically at the side of the desk of an operations manager, fire chief, that type of job.
Other questions, Councillor McCann?
My question was similar. So the way I read this, it's basically, there's all these positions, but you could have one person that's doing all three of those things, right?
Sure.
In reality, we'll probably have a staff of 2. And those 2 are gonna do all this,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
So in my past positions, I've been that emergency program coordinator, as I kind of am now. But when I turn into a pumpkin, so the next one, I think that's the job description probably just written into somebody else's. So whoever it might be.
But the CAO decides on that and figures that out.
Right, you-
The programs to make sure that that's in place and gets done.
Sure, so you're delegating your authority to that individual.
Yeah.
To do the routine things, when it comes back to you is when you might have to declare a state of local emergency.
Yeah.
That typically goes right back to mayor or acting mayor, if you happen to be out of town, or delegate. So you can delegate that responsibility to anybody. And again, in my past life, that usually came to me, was delegated as part of my job. But I typically give the mayor a call during early freshet and say, by the way, we might have to declare, I filled this document out and that they have to sign it, and I'll drop it on your desk in the event.
Thank you. So the emergency plan does not have to be submitted to the MCR? Okay.
Nobody wants,
Yeah.
they like to see it, they
Yeah.
typically put it in a big drafty room.
Yeah.
The 5 other plans.
I guess they can go on our website and see it if they.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
website is really the best choice, and that's the best choice to give the public a chance to say,
Yeah.
oh, what?
Yeah.
Back in 53, I remember
Yeah.
this, and then we could address that.
Sure. Are there any other questions? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Jim.
Sure.
All right, we'll move on to bylaws for adoption, which is 9.2. And we have officers and delegation authority bylaw. CAO Mombercat, are you speaking to this?
No, I don't have any additional comments to make about it from our
Yes.
discussion at the last meeting.
Sounds good. So we have a recommended motion here. And that would be Councillor McKinnon and the seconder.
Second.
Thank you. And any Councillor Toss?
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering what caused the previous bylaw to be repealed, the 2002 one? Because it looks like it's replacing,
Officers and delegation.
I think in the notes here.
Yes, when we had the meeting a couple of weeks ago, we looked at the procurement policy and the delegation bylaw.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there was an additional bylaw, so we've repealed those and replaced it with this one.
Got you. Thank you.
So, we have put the motion forward. I'm sorry, I lost that. All right. So any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, item number 9.2.2, freedom of information and protection of privacy. And interesting that this says it was given first 3 readings on August the 24th, 2022 by the previous council, correct? So it's being brought forward to us. And so we have a recommended motion. We'd like to put that forward, Councillor Lightfoot and a seconder.
Sure.
Councillor McCann, are there any comments or questions regarding this?
You've had my questions answered by Lisa this afternoon.
Okay, so all those in favor then? And carried. Move right on to correspondence, and we had one piece of correspondence here. From Forestry Works for BC. Any discussion or comments regarding this? It does say correspondence for action. They're asking for a letter of support. Thank you. Would anyone like to put a motion forward regarding this or? I know. So, okay.
That's fine.
We're good. Yep. Good. Okay, perfect. And we move on to verbal reports. Is that right? That's right. Already. Okay. So I'll do some more.
You can do a motion to get like that there's no action on that. We're not going to do a random support or something. Just
Okay. Would anyone would like to make a motion? Say that.
there's no action
There's
taken.
no action taken. I can do that.
Sure.
Sure. And second. Oh, second. Thank you. All those in favor? Great. Yes. All right, so now we're on to verbal reports. Let's see. No, he comes at later, other business. That's so, yeah, I thought won't be too long. So last council meeting was July 23rd, which was nearly a month ago. And that's because of the way the calendar fell. And it's also, we had some conflicting schedules, so we moved it to today. And we're going to have another meeting next Tuesday as well. So feast or famine meetings. So the day after our last council meeting was the Jasper fire. I received a number of requests for interviews, which I declined. They wanted me to compare, Jasper and Lytton, and they wanted me to provide advice for Jasper. And it certainly was not appropriate a week after or the day after the fire or that week. So I did accept one interview, and it was an interview with the mayor of Jasper, the mayor of Slave Lake at the time, and the mayor of Valemont. So it was it was more like a podcast, actually. It wasn't quite an interview, I guess. So it was very, very interesting. But they did ask me for comments about Jasper. And so basically what I did was I commended the mayor of Jasper. And this was the week after the fire. But I commended him on his communication to residents and businesses, both on his website and his statements he was making. I just thought he did a fabulous job with that. On July 27th, I attended the first fish ceremony hosted by Spuzum First Nation at the Alexander Bridge Park. I've been attending these for a few years now. It's always a great event. I attended a gathering with our MLA, Jackie Taggart, and many community members here at the hall. She brought along with her her colleague, MLA Karen Kirkpatrick. MLA Taggart shared with me afterwards that they both really appreciated hearing both the positive stories from the people as well as the continued challenges that people are facing here in Lytton. On August 7th, I attended a disaster and hazard Zoom meeting with other mayors around the province and with EMCR Minister Bowen Ma. At that time, they shared updates on the fires that were happening, in particular the Shetland fire, and of course, the Chilcotin slide and river event happening. And of course, as it turned out, we know that the worst case scenario that they said could happen did not with that slide. On August 10th, I volunteered at the Cancer Won't Wait table at Kamloops Rib Fest. For those that don't know, the Thompson Nicola Hospital Board, of which I'm a director through the TNRD, has a campaign going titled Cancer Won't Wait. And you may have seen posters or ads about it, I'm not sure. But too many people from our region have to travel to Kelowna, right, for cancer treatment. And this campaign focuses on keeping the government accountable to their promise of building a cancer center and keeping them on track in Kamloops. The government right now is saying it will be built by the end of 2028. So I think our job as the TNHB, whatever it is, the hospital board is to keep them accountable. And that's through this campaign. On August 14th and 15th, I attended the TNRD out-of-town board meeting. It was held in Merritt this year. It was interesting because we toured the grasslands between Kamloops over to Merritt, and we had the Cattlemen's Association talk to us about the importance of preservation of grasslands and such, as well as toured a facility in Merritt called Blackman Cement Products. It was an automated factory, I guess, that produces bricks and those kinds of things for building and construction. Very fascinating. It's been nice to start the process of setting up the project advisory committee with our local First Nation communities regarding the community hub. So that's just very beginning stages, and we hopefully will hold our first meeting in early September. I'd like to congratulate Lytton First Nation and Little Wet Timber Mart for getting the hardware store open up at the drive-in property. I understand that they're hosting a grand opening on the 30th. Yeah, that's right. So a week Friday. I also want to congratulate Owen and Patsy for receiving the very first occupancy permit in the village. So that's pretty exciting for them. I understand they were moving furniture into their home today. So that's good news. All right, we'll move on to councilor talks.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I don't have a lot to report since the last meeting on July 23rd. I am full-time in Lytton now, which is exciting. I attended as well the Jackie Taggart and MLA Kilpatrick afternoon, a couple of coffees with council. Looking forward to some EOC follow-up training tomorrow with some of our staff and some other community members and Mr. McDonald here. And that's about it. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. Thank you, Mayor O'Connor.
I've been busy, but not really busy. It was nice to have a little break. Went to several coffees with the mayor. On August 1st, there was a Chief Spentland Park project meeting. On the 2nd, I also met with MLA Taggart and the people here. It was fascinating to be there. The closed council meeting on the 6th and the 9th, we met with Stefan Kanaka regarding the project advisory committee, and then again on the 16th with Siska. So it's very exciting to me as well to be seeing something moving forward there. And I also was helping Lori Pilon with arrangements for the highway celebration in a week or so. So I'll try and get that off the list. At the park, their tentative date for construction start is September 23rd. So they're a month later than they had hoped. But I think with the village working on the property arrangements that need to be made and going through VC Hydro and checking things there, like there's a lot of stuff going on. Many moving pieces, turns out, in this little project. So it looks like it's actually going to happen though. One of the things that is interesting to me is that the park landscape contractor is looking at taking the overall concept of the park creation and breaking it down into little pieces so that local contractors can bid on separate parts of it. So for example, one of the parts of the plan is a pergola or a gazebo or some kind of shelter thing out here in the back. And so that'll be separated out so that log construction or timber framers or somebody like that who would want to bid on that could just bid on that part of it and do that. Also with the signage, there'll be bits and pieces pulled out. And the proposal right now, after speaking with LFN and presenting the information with LFN, the idea is for the park project to purchase all of the plants and focusing on indigenous and fire resilient and all that kind of plants. But to purchase the plants out of the project and then have a community planting day where we all get together and plant all the plants in the springtime. So although the project has a hard finish date of the fiscal year, which is March, I believe, right? They can kind of have that part done, set that aside, and then plant them in May when it's probably a better time to be planting plants. So kind of, it's really interesting to watch how this whole thing has evolved and continues to evolve to become the vision that somebody had so many years ago. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilor Michelle. I don't have anything to report. And Councilor Lightfoot.
Not much to report. I went to a couple of coffees and watched the Shetland Fire and Chilcotin slide and enjoyed the summer.
All right, so we'll move on to item number 13, which is other
Excuse me,
business.
Mayor O'Connor, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We skipped over the Public Works update.
No, it's right now.
Oh, is it? Oh, it comes at the end. I'm sorry.
Just going to share, yeah. So other business, and this is what we added onto the agenda, Public Works update.
Perfect.
I'm chuckling because you're not the only one.
I was all confused.
Councillor, Brian, you're not a councillor, but thank you for being here and let's open.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Late item agenda addition is the Public Works update. There's been a bit of a gap since the last update and a few things that have occurred that I thought the public and council would like to be aware of. Specifically on water, August 27th, 28th, and 29th of next week, Exceed Engineering will be switching over our SCADA water system. So we'll be relying on manual. So the Public Works will be monitoring it, and we're currently right now trying to watch the rise and drop so that we know when to turn the system off and when to turn the system on. There'll be information put into the newsletter, and if anything changes, I'll update people as that happens. So just pay attention to the newsletter and the website. Next. Wastewater. We managed to last Monday with the assistance of contractor GNS at Lillooet do a repair to the sewer system blockage on First Street. So that has been repaired now. We are still working on trying to do planning for more repairs. As you can see in the photo, there's still some pipes that are compromised within the system. This isn't blocked, but has potential to become a blockage. So we're working to hopefully avoid those things in the future. Some people will see that we finally received the washroom that was ordered some time ago. It was placed at the old entrance to the swimming pool, and it's been decided that we will hook it up there for now, for the simple reason that, as you can see in front, the cut and cap locations for the water and sewer are literally right there. So it'll reduce the cost of installation for now. It doesn't appear as though we're going to have hydro hooked up to it, but we'll have a generator hooked up to it. And the hope is that we'll have it operational for Riverfest. Parks, we've removed a couple dead trees from the area, as well as we've been trying to remove dead vegetation throughout the community. The irrigation system is being worked on to try and repair from some damage. We're planning on doing some sidewalk repairs throughout the community. We've marked tripping hazards. We'll be looking at and trying to create a plan for what we want to do for landscaping for probably the spring season. And we'll be presenting that to council prior to anything occurring. And I think that's it. One other item that isn't on there is we did have a contractor remove some danger trees in the cemetery recently. So some people might see some blocks that we will be working on trying to remove from there. But it's just a little bit safer now that danger trees being removed.
Great. Any questions or comments from Brian? No? Thank you for that update. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, we have a motion to just report for information. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder, McCann, and all those in favor. And carried. Okay, now that brings us to the end of this meeting. We're going to be moving into closed meeting, but we need a motion to close this meeting. So, as recommended, Councillor Lightfoot, seconder. Thank you. All those in favor? Great. And now I'm going to turn it back over. So thank you everyone for attending, and we'll turn it back over to see corporate officer. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. So that concludes the public portion of the regular council meeting of August 20th, 2024. We ask that the public and staff please remove yourself from the meeting as we go into closed session. Thank you for attending today's meeting and have a wonderful night. And I invite council to take a short recess while I reset the meeting to closed.